Howdy YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So today I thought I'd give you guys another bit of a workshop tour, a look at what's been going on. We've actually just updated our paint system. So as you can see here in the background, we have a Standoblue system, which is the state-of-the-art Standox water system. It is actually exactly the same paint system as Chromax Pro and Spies Hecker. I can't remember offhand exactly what the Spies Hecker one was called, but High Tech or something like that. It's like Spies High Tech, but yeah, they're all exactly the same system. Well, very minor adjustments to them, but the actual paint itself, and when I say the same stuff, I don't mean similar, I mean they're exactly the same. These tinters will all be the same. I've had a tinter swapped over from Chromax Pro with one of these tinters, with a Standox tinter, because they didn't have a Chromax Pro tinter, and yeah, they're exactly the same. So I'll turn that off just so it's not too loud in here for you guys. Yeah, so look, it looks and feels like a very professional system. I guess it's obviously nice to have a new rack. It's obviously handy to have a full backup shelf behind there. So over time, and well, you can see with these bigger ones down here, the fast movers, you know, the ones that you're going to use a lot of, it's handy to have a backup of. And over time, we might end up backing up most of these tinters, just so that, you know, you're not stuck on a whatever day it be on a Wednesday and then you run out of a tinter or whatever it be. So yeah, the Standox solvent was obviously ripped out, and my boss wanted to keep some of the old tinters because they could come in handy. So there's not a great deal left in most of these, and thankfully the paint supplier, Park Automotive, they actually credited back all the backups. So with the Standox solvent system, we did actually have a lot of backups, and they credited them back for our bosses, which was pretty good of them. So look, as far as the computer goes, not much really changes. Like, a little bit does. There's just an extra paint line that's been added. So it's all the same interface. It's just that, I'm not sure how well you can see that, but that's Standoblue added, and I got them to delete the Basis Lack system, which was the Standox solvent system. One of my favorite additions to the computer has got to be this barcode scanner. So if you have a look at this, what I'll do here is, if I click on color box or own reference there, I can then just go bang. That's all my wet on wet primers or sealers, and I've got the sandable fillers, clear coats, and you see that just pops straight up, so I don't actually have to search for that or anything. The barcode takes you straight to that formula. Another very handy thing that we never really had before, well, technically we did have some color boxes, but they were useless. To put it bluntly, they were really no good. I believe that the old color cards, they were actually printed. That's what they told me. They were like digitally printed on like a color printer or something like that. So that's what they say, and they never really replicated. Whereas these ones here are actually quite good. So yeah, basically, here's a good example. So this is Mazda. So that's a Mazda aluminium 38p, is it? Yes, 38p aluminium effect. So I came up to this car yesterday. You see, it's a Ford Ranger, which is actually technically a Mazda BT50. So yeah, sometimes you just go straight up to the Mazda colors. Now I had a look at this. I said, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Like, I decided, you know what? I'm not going to even spray that color out. I'm going to mix that up and paint it. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that as long as you're pretty confident with the way that they replicate, then it could possibly save you a fair bit of time. And another one here, this is a Mitsubishi Lancer. It's just a front bumper. I mean, look, at the car's getting a little bit older, but same thing. I found the color chip, checked the color chip. I decided, you know what? I'm happy that I'm just going to be able to mix and paint that straight up. So yeah, in a few minutes, and each one of these has got one of those barcodes on the back. So again, I can just scan that and straight up to the formula, no stuffing around. I have a little bit more of a look through here. Look, the main thing that you've really got to remember when it comes to this water is there's a handy little chart here. So the main thing you've got to remember, so most of the year, I would say, most of the year you're going to be on standard viscosity adjuster, whereas when the humidity gets lower and the heat gets higher, you'll want to go to the slow viscosity adjuster, and then when it gets really low humidity and really high heat, you'll go slow adjuster and 10% demineralized water. So yeah, that's something that obviously most people won't need to know, but that's the main thing. Like basically with this Standoblue stuff, the worst thing that can happen is it drying as you're spraying, because it's sort of like a one visit base coat application. There's no like put a coat on, wait, put a coat on, wait. Although you can do that if you're doing spot repairs, but I'll go through a little bit of that later on, I guess. So this is one thing that we do have. What this tells you is the temperature and the humidity. So what you've got here is a little sensor that you can take into the spray booth as you're masking a car up or something, and then you can, so it'll tell you the temperature and humidity here, and then it'll tell you temperature and humidity wherever that sensor is. So technically I don't really see why there's such a big difference in the humidity from here to here, although it might be something to do with this computer, the heat from the computer drying out the air or something like that maybe. But yeah, all of that aside, this is another handy thing to have. So pretty much every paint system should have one, and if you're new to a paint system and you don't have one of these, it can be a bit tricky trying to look through every single tinter. So pretty much every paint system I've used, they all have the same colors, if you know what I mean. Like, let's just say here, you've got your magenta, mix 168. You've got your red toner, and then you've got your red, and you can check, so there should be a bit of a formula here telling you what it is. So yeah, that should be the straight tinter. In the middle it should be the straight tinter. On the right it should be like mixed, say 10:1 with silver, and then on the left it should be say mixed 10:1 with white or something. I haven't actually, I'll ask the paint reps about that one today, but yeah, very handy to have. As I was saying, like each system will have the same tints. You just got to know which number it is in the system that you're currently using, pretty much. So yeah, color matching doesn't really change a great deal when you're going water to solvent, or solvent to water, or whatever. One thing that's worth keeping in mind with this system is like once you've put basically the thinner in it, what do they call it? It's like a adjuster, viscosity adjuster. Yeah, that's the one. Once you put that in, you pretty much got 24 hours, they say. So you really want to mix your color up last. You don't want to go and say mix and match your color Monday morning and then spray the color Wednesday night or something like that. And if you did have to do that, then you would have to add a further 10% of that viscosity adjuster. So yeah, I mean, I've been spraying with this stuff all week. The paint reps have been in here. This system got installed last Friday, and I used it as Chromax Pro a few years ago, so those who have been with the channel for quite a while will remember that. Now, I was told back then that everything has to be sprayed at 2 bar or else you won't replicate the color, the metallic orientation will all be wrong and it'll look all patchy and all that. And I mean, it seems like the guys that I'm working with now, like the paint reps, they seem to be saying slightly different things. They're like, man, if you need to spray at 1 bar or lower pressure, you can. Like, just add a little bit more of the base coat blender. If you want to spray it like solvent, you know, say if you've got a spot repair, you don't actually have to smash it on with really high pressure or anything like that, because that's what I was finding. Like previously, if you want to spray at 2 bar, because this stuff really does float when it's in the gun, if you want to spray at 2 bar, you can. But what ends up happening, say you're like spraying here on this guard, it'll just like float all over, and you'll get your color all the way over the front edge of the adjacent panel, and effectively you're not even blending anymore. So yeah, basically I've quizzed them a little bit more this time about pressures and all that kind of stuff, and can I lower the pressure, and they're like, yeah, you can. Look, at the end of the day, what they're saying is that if you've gone and picked one of those chips, those color chips that I was just showing you before, how I've, you know, just mixed and sprayed that tailgate, I'll give you a look in the booth on that one later, but basically if you go and go too low with your pressure, that color chip will not replicate. So yeah, that's more what they're saying, that more so than you actually have to spray it at that pressure to make it lay down properly. So look, that's good to know. I think I'm going to have a bit more success using it this time. I mean, I wasn't bad at spraying it last time. There was just a few issues that I had that yeah, I wasn't quite happy with, whereas this time I reckon it's going to be heaps better. I've noticed it's drying a lot quicker. Now it is summer at the moment, where, well, it's actually technically spring, but it's coming into summer, so it's drying a lot faster. But I think the other side of that is that these spray booths have a much greater airflow than the spray booth that I was previously working in. When I was previously working in, it was all good, and like, it was a great spray booth, don't get me wrong, but it was a low bake booth. You'd get really clean jobs in it, but the way that spray booth worked was completely downdraft. So the whole way it would just go straight down, but the floor filters would clog up within a couple of weeks, and it was a really, really busy workshop, right? So you didn't always just have a couple of hours or half a day. Sometimes it'd take to rip all those floor filters out and replace them to get the airflow going again. So what ended up happening is that, you know, you'd just be running around flat out trying to get all the jobs painted, but because you hadn't cleaned out the floor filters, it was just slowing you down. Bigger picture, I should have just said, hey, stop production, forget it, that job's not getting painted, we need the floor filters changed, or else yeah, we don't continue on spraying, you know. So yeah, basically what I was trying to say is that these booths here seem to have a much higher airflow. So basically what dries this water is air flowing over the top of it. So these spray booths seem to have that better airflow, so the base coat seems to be drying a lot better. And this one here I sprayed yesterday, so I did a door on this, and it was just a little chip, and I was able to just spray it with a minigun. It was like my ANI R150, which is a pretty, you know, popular spray gun on this channel. Lots of people know about it. So I sprayed the Standoblue at, it was like 1.5 bar, so really low pressure. Just dusted it on, just put the first coat out here, and then the second coat a little bit further in. So basically, like, you do your blend first. So it's sort of like backwards compared to solvent, whereas with solvent you just get your primer patch covered and then you do your blend last, whereas with this stuff you got to like start at the outside, do your blend, and then get your coverage last, if you know what I mean. So yeah, sort of do things backward. And well, you can see here, this is still some of my masking on there, but there's no overspray here, and I can guarantee there was no overspray here. So I was able to keep that small bit of color just there, low pressure, without going and floating my color all over the adjacent panels. So, you know, as I say, like, there's it seems like I can spray it a little bit more like solvent than what I initially thought, what I thought I could previously. Now this is that bumper off that Lancer that was in the doorway just there, and as you can see, it holds a really, really nice gloss overnight. Look, my jobs weren't really that bad around here, but some of the guys that I've worked with over the years, they'll rush their solvent jobs. Like, they'll just smash, say, 3 or 4 coats of solvent-based base coat down too quickly, too fast, and then without letting it dry properly, they'll go and smash another 2 coats of clear, come in the morning, and the gloss level's basically gone. So, as I said, like, my jobs were usually glossy, but some of the guys, they're not gonna have any choice now but to let their base coat dry properly, because if you don't, all that's going to happen is that you're going to have to respray the whole panel again. So yeah, this is that tailgate I was telling you about off that Ford Ranger or Mazda BT50, which it basically really is. So yeah, that came up pretty nice. 300 mils of colour for this one, and I mixed up 400 for that one over here. Yeah, like, just because it's quite a large bumper bar with lots of little edges, so I find that you do use a little bit more paint on the large bumpers, obviously. This is another job which I sprayed. I sprayed this one 2 days ago, actually. This is actually part of the reason why I'm here early. It's 7 o'clock, so got to actually get to work and get this one polished up soon. So this one here was small repairs down here. So I blended the quarter panels, I did the tailgate, and I did this garnish, and yeah, blended this quarter panel as well. So as you'll be able to see, it's got that really nice sort of factory finish to it, factory orange peel. like very professional job if you ask me. It's quite clean, you know. However, it did turn out I actually had to respray this tailgate because I think it was the paint rep that was in there blowing it. Like I base coated it, I went on with it at base coat, it went out to mix up my clear, and he was in there with the air blower. But this tailgate was like really close to the wall, so I reckon when he had his air blower, it must have like flicked the wall, and it's like all of this dust just landed. I mean, literally every centimetre there was a bit of dust in it, and I just said, man, just redo the panel for what it's worth, you know. Otherwise you'd basically be sanding the entire panel back flat to get it to look half decent, and then no, it just looks funny because it'll stand out because it's too flat, you know. So I think that's about, this is one of the jobs that my painter in crime sprayed. He sprayed this one the other day. This is his first job in water on the Monday, and obviously that one's came up pretty nice. He seems to be adjusting to it pretty well too. So yeah, let's have a look. That's right, I did a bonnet off of this one too, off this what is it, XC60, this one here. So yeah, there was like some bird poo stains on the bonnet. I sprayed that. It's covered with dust, a slight layer of dust has been sitting out here since yesterday, but you'll still be able to see. Like, I actually had this out in the sun. I mean, I won't be able to lift it single-handedly at the moment, but what happened here, there was like a bird poo stain here, and there was a few stone chips along the front there. So I mixed the colour up, and all I wanted to do was just dust a little bit across this front section. So I basically, my colour ended up blending it up through here, and then I lost it on this swage line as well. Now I had it out in the sun as I was bringing it out here, and I had a look at it, and it was perfect, man. And I didn't have to spray it at 2-bar, and I didn't have to smash it on so heavy the way that I would have sprayed it probably 3 years ago. So yeah, look, it's really good to use. I'm really enjoying it, and I think I'm going to have a little bit more freedom to sort of do it my own way. Last time I think I was probably trying too hard to do it the way that they were telling me to do it, you know what I mean? Like, whereas this time I'm just going to try different things. I'm going to say, hey, you know what, this works, this doesn't work. So yeah, I'll probably, you know, start writing my own book, you know. Yeah, rather than going by the book, I'm going to start a few pages of my own. But yeah, look, no doubt I've forgotten to say a couple of things. I always do when I do these videos. I always sit back, get the video into the editor, put an intro and ending onto it, and I say, I should have said that or something. So that's what the next video is for. If it's that important, I'll probably take a mental note of it and make sure I do say it in that next video. So yes, Standoblue, mate. It's really good stuff. That's it. So we've still got our VOC 2K. That's these green cans down the bottom here. So that's basically all the solid colors. So, you know, commercial vehicles, this is a perfect example. We've got this this ute tray out here. My painter in crime is spraying that today. You would not want to spray that in water. Why would you? You just go in there with a one visit VOC 2K, standard acrylic VOC, just bang, smash it on, job done. We've also got the wet on wet primers, or non-stop filler, they call it, non-stop ground filler. And they've even bought in the Standoblue 2K sandable primer. That's these three up here. Now, I find them a little bit on the expensive side. If the boss doesn't mind paying for it, we'll go for it. Otherwise, we'll probably just keep going with this Cyrox sandable primer here. It's really good stuff. So you've got two different colors. So you've got the light gray and the dark grey, and you can obviously make anything in between. So it might actually be worth spending like 20 minutes, and I could probably make my own formulas that would be very similar to these shaded primers here. I know that I would be able to make some shaded primer formulas and then save them in, and I could actually even make barcodes for them. So bang, bang, bang. Like, so basically in future we could use that Cyrox primer, but prime this in the dark one and have a formula for it, prime this in the mid one, have a formula for it, prime this in the light one and have a formula for it. So yeah, as I say, I've got to get back to work, and hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. Until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.